Hello everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. I have, let me just go back a couple videos ago. I made, which I'll link, I made a goal right at the end of last year to own and have read 500 books before I'm 30. So I think I initially started around 150, which leaves me with about 350 books to read over the next 3 years. So I made a video in January updating my progress. I was doing pretty well, resolutions. Usually January goes pretty well, and that's where I was. And then I was like, but I'm like 1 or 2 books short of what I really wanted to read this month, because I knew it was gonna drop off and there was gonna be things that happened and life would happen. And so I was like, February, even though it's a short month, I'm gonna try to read like 10 books or 11 books. Yeah, that did not happen. So prepare to be disappointed. These are all the books I read through February and March combined. So we'll talk about the dilemma in a minute. But first, I'm just gonna go ahead and go through these books. So first, I read this book in like 2 days. I really love Francine Rivers. She's a Christian author. She writes fiction, so it's like Christian fiction. But I've read tons of her books before. If you've watched any of my previous, like what I've been reading videos, you've seen tons of Francine Rivers. And so we were at a used bookstore and I found this one. I had never heard of it. I pretty much never hear of her books until I just buy it and read it. So I just have faith that whatever she writes is going to be pretty good. This one was good. Still not in my top. Redeeming Love and the Voice in the Wind series, especially the first and second one. The second one's my favorite, and then the first one, and then the third one. Those are my favorite books by her. I've read a couple others that are also really good. This one is really good. I would say it's, in that kind of mid section. And there's only one book I didn't really like by her, but it wasn't because it was good. It just, I don't know. There's just something about it I didn't love, but then also it was about divorce. And I started reading it like 2 or 3 years into my marriage. And I was like, I'm not really ready to like be reading about like a husband that leaves his wife. So just like mentally, emotionally, I wasn't there yet. So I just stopped reading that one. So this also kind of has like a trigger warning to it. Like the writing is so good and so vivid, like, the trigger warnings really mean something in my opinion. This book has concepts of rape in it. So, or can I say that on YouTube? But yes. So if that is something that makes you uneasy, maybe you want to skip this one or just read it at a different time. I did like it. It was good. Being pregnant myself now for the second time. That's actually the first time I'm saying this on YouTube. I'm currently pregnant, which is a whole thing in and of itself. I know I'm just kind of casually leaving that there, but again, that's something we can get into at a different time. But I enjoyed reading about a pregnant character, I guess, in some ways. In other ways, I was like, that's kind of unrealistic. But that was a good, I would say I would give it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, let's do this one. So I started to stress out that I was not reading enough. And so I decided to read this book really, really quickly in one day. I want to homeschool my kids, and so it's important to me to build up a good library of books for my kids to read, but also for me to have like a sense of knowledge myself. And so I thought that this was really good to kind of, give myself a background on a really important historical figure. I have quite a few books kind of like that. And so when I saw this at the thrift store for $2, I was like, let's go ahead and pick it up. So it was a good book, like not the best thing I've ever read. Obviously it's nonfiction and it's written for young kids. So that's pretty much what I was expecting, and that's exactly what it was. And so it was good. It was good for what it was supposed to be, and I'll want my kids to eventually read it, but like I'm never going to recommend it to like my friends or anything. So I don't even want to give that a ranking because I don't want to. Okay. Anne of Avonlea. This is the second book in the series. Read the first one back in like January. I read this one mostly in February, but I think I finished it in March. And I'm just kind of like only wanting to do about one per like video. I don't want to just like have 6 Anne of Green Gables books in one video. If you've never heard of Anne of Green Gables, she's just kind of like a spunky, fiery little thing. She gets adopted by this family and she doesn't quite fit in to the standards that the town has, but she becomes very quickly loved by everybody who she interacts with because she just has such a pure, genuine heart for people and for doing the right thing. And this book kind of covers her. I don't remember how old she was when it started. I think she had just come back from like her college. I mean, like not her college, but like her teachers. I don't remember. She's definitely older, like 16, 17, 18, kind of in that range. So she's grown up. It's so refreshing to see how like this girl with such a huge personality was able to really tame that into a very feminine softness, but she still retains who she is in a lot of ways. It's just a more mature version of who she is. And it's just a really beautiful picture of femininity and just like, I don't know, being a good person and being your own person and having a good head on your shoulders. So I really love this book. I've seen like different iterations, like the movie and the series and stuff online, and just nothing lives up to the books themselves. So I would definitely recommend reading. I will start the third one probably this week, maybe next week, just depends when I get to it, because I am currently in the middle of reading 2 or 3 other books. So, okay. Again, these last 2 are on kind of that same vein of wanting to build a really strong children's library of just really good books for my kids to be able to pick from and read and really explore their own interests. I loved Hardy Boys. It was once I reached like 3rd, 4th grade, this was like probably my favorite series, and I read a ton of these. And so whenever I find them at the thrift store, I buy them. Same goes with the Magic Treehouse books, which I'll get into next. If you don't know, this is similar to like Nancy Drew. It's these 2 boys. They're like 17 and 18. And they are detectives. And so it will go through like the whole mystery and then they solve it in the end. Definitely not a new concept, but I will say, I mean, just if you like mysteries, then, you'll like these books, especially if, you're younger. I would even say I would have probably enjoyed these in middle school and high school. Here's the thing. They talk so differently than we talk. I don't know when these were like written or when they take place, but I mean, it was like before cell phones and stuff. It was probably like in the 60s or something. I don't know. I should probably like research that, but like they talk just, and for being teenagers, 1965. So that's probably when this was like supposed to be taking place in the 60s. Like you can even just see the way they're dressing. Like this is just how they're dressing for fun. Polo shirts and slacks with belts and the way they talk about stuff. I don't know. It's just like, I wish the youth of today talked like this and dressed like this and just carried themselves with such decorum and grace. I wish I carried myself like that, and I've been striving to. And I feel like reading the books that I read inspires me to want to talk better and dress better and act better. And it just I don't know. I feel like when you start looking into literature or, any form of art that has really strong moral ethics, I don't know, you just start to see how like morally deprived our culture is compared with what like a daily living would have been like 80 years ago. And obviously there's always been people doing bad things for all time, but just, you know what I mean? Like just like the constant slang, like it's you're cool if you don't talk properly, or if you are a musician that talks about really just degrading, just morally lacking topics like drugs and sex and alcohol and parties. Like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. The literature today, the music today, our TV, our movies, they just are all so yucky in a lot of ways. And so when you read stuff like this, it opens your eyes to like, whoa, wow, like the way people held themselves, it was just so good. And it's like a breath of fresh air. And you know what? That's how I want to be. So I am going to keep reading books like this, that like Anne of Green Gables, other books I've read in the past, Little House on the Prairie, Heidi, whatever, these books that just inspire you to want to be a better person, want to be more independent. And I don't know. You know what I mean? Like reading Little House on the Prairie, it inspires you to be like, oh, look how independent they used to have to be. Like, I can do stuff like that. These books are just inspiring, and they don't try to inspire you. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the really beautiful part of it, is just like these characters are just good. They're just good. They're just good people. And so being around good people and reading about good people makes you want to be good. Or at least it does me. So last book. Sorry, I was like, this will be such a short video. There's so few books that I'm talking about, but I yap like crazy. The last book I'll talk about, The Magic Tree House, The Night at Dawn. Again, I just picked these up as I find them at the thrift store. So I don't have like the full series yet, but I loved these when I was like in first, second grade. They kind of teach you about different time periods and about history. And so that's, really, really cool. But you also follow these kids on these adventures. I've been reading this Magic Tree House books out loud to my daughter. She's 4. We started doing like books like this right after her 4th birthday. The first one I showed you back in my January video is called A Country Christmas. And then I've done this one, and we've started another Magic Tree House one, and I read them with her, just like a chapter or 2 a day. But yeah, I love these books, and so I definitely want them to be available to my kids as they grow. I want, our library to be full of really, really good book options for them, and I try to find them as cheaply as I can. This one was $2 at Once Upon a Child. I have no clue about this one. Okay, so that's all the books that I read in February and March. So that's my dilemma. I'm obviously very far from my reading goal of 100 books this year. I should have looked up before I started this video, but I think I'm at like 11 or 12 or something like that right now. So it's obviously very far behind. We have a lot. Okay. I set this goal, and then a couple weeks later we were placed with our son, who we just adopted. I found out that I was pregnant. Now we have to move because we're outgrowing our house. So we're in the process of selling our home and buying a home. And there's things going on in my personal life that are exciting and good, but, are taking a lot of time and energy from me. So I haven't been able to read, and especially just on top of life in general, raising 2 kids, driving to appointments, all the things. And so it's good to have like multitasking things like this. I can spend quality time with my kid, but also get some reading done for myself. So I really need to buckle down and read, but obviously life is really crazy right now. So wish me luck. Hopefully, we're in April already. We are a weekend, and I still have this Bible study book that we have 1 day left to do it. Like, we have 1 day left, and once we finish that day, we'll be done. And we just keep not doing it. So that's not good. We need to finish that one. And then that'll be one already done in April. And then, like I said, I'm reading The Magic Tree House to my daughter. I've been reading this one book about being, like a woman, a nonfiction type book. I've been reading it for a couple months. I need to just wrap it up. And is that it? Is it just those 3? Oh, well, we did start another Bible study book with our small group which we are taking a break from small group just with everything going on. So I need to go ahead. If I finish those 4 that I've already started, then that's 4 for the month of April, plus anything I haven't started, like the Anne of Green Gables book, one that's about labor and what the Bible says about laboring and stuff like that. I just want to start reading more of those types of books to get my mind ready for what's coming up in my life soon. So it's been really hard. Let me tell you, it's been really hard because I want to go back and reread things that I love. I've been just aching to read Redeeming Love because it's been quite a few years at this point. I think it was 2021, maybe beginning of 2022 when I read it. And I really want to read it again, but I know that just because it's so big, it'll take me a few days or a week to get through it. And then I'm losing all of that time to read books that I haven't read yet that I need to read for these videos. I am aching to get to the Lord of the Rings series, and I honestly could pick those up and start reading those. Maybe I'll read one of those and then start Anne of Green Gables. I don't know. I need to figure out a good time of like when to put them in. So that's where I'm at. Thank you for watching. Any encouragement or good book recommendations are always welcome. I'm doing my absolute best, but my family comes first, and taking care of my home and, doing all the things that a good wife and mother is supposed to do, all of that takes priority. Not that I'm perfect at it, but it does take priority to reading and making these videos. So thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Okay, enough yapping. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.